was a sense of brightness. There was a sense of moving forward. There was a sense of being appreciated. And that was something that is not true in all jobs. I met Ted Gleason in the summer of 1979. He and I were off to be headmasters of our two schools, and he quickly became a friend. For some reason, we had a lot in common. We talked a lot. He came to the first graduation I had and gave a wonderful graduation speech. Ted was a confidant of mine. Ted was welcoming. Ted saw the best in situations. When he hired me, knew very little about business, and I perhaps knew less. But he hired me, he had faith in me, he let me run with it, and the rest is history. Going into the 1970s required a headmaster to be flexible, to understand these changes that were taking place in schools. The old systems didn't work. What was right, what used to be right, was wrong. What used to be wrong was suddenly right. Ted brought a feeling of optimism, a sense of humor, ability to listen, and a sense of loyalty. Ted believed in the concept of the round table. You sit around the table, what you say stays there, but what you say is thought about and talked about. Ted was a wonderful person to work for and work with. We both learned a lot, I think, and he continues to this day to be a good friend. I was very fortunate to serve with both Ted Gleason and Dick Baker. Each had a different direction. Each had a different approach. The direction that Ted took it in from the years when he started in 1971 were appropriate for that time. He accomplished everything that he needed to accomplish and made it possible for Baker and his pragmatic and tough approach to raise nobles to higher standards. Ted's ability to hire faculty seemed to be based on the personal feeling that Ted had in an interview with him. He really wasn't terribly interested in what others had to say, but was interested in how he was going to work with this individual. Recently, I had an email from Bill Kellenbeck, and in it he listed all the math teachers who were still there. It was an enormous number. Such loyalty is very rare, and it's got to say something very special about the school. These were all Gleason's hires, and there they remain, loyal to the school, still there, and still doing a good job. Even now, in the year 2010, Noble still has many of these faculty that Ted Gleason hired. When it came around to salaries, Ted had a difficult time. He was of the old school and just applied a certain percentage to every person and let it be. He didn't like it. He knew something was wrong and asked, "Smithy, what should I do?" And I told him to write down the names of every person in rank order of what they meant to him in the school. He did so. He was amazed. At the top of the list was Angela Camp, his secretary. There were a number who, in terms of salaries, were very low, and they were very high in his list. Ted learned a lot that year. Bill Jakes realized very quickly the potential that the Nobles community had. And very quickly, he gave lessons to Ted Gleason. Gleason absorbed these lessons and went about fundraising with such a vengeance. And he learned to absolutely love it and actually spent the rest of his life fundraising. I was happiest at Nobles. The faculty at Nobles was a wonderful faculty. The faculty at Nobles, they got along. They liked each other. They worked together. There was a common goal. And there was no better faculty in terms of support, mutual caring for one another, love, than there was at Nobles.